Chapter 229, Brother and Sister. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. Before Ziqian could react with the corresponding strategy, Zhuo Lengxuan laughed out loud. He dashed forward, pointing one finger at her glabella. The air on Zhuo Lengxuan's finger swept forward. Ziqian was astonished. She felt that the bitterly cold wind had frosted her to numb. The light before her shined in all directions. It glared so intensely that she couldn't open her eyes. The cultivation between the two was widely different. Without waiting, Zhuo Lengxuan sealed Ziqian's chi with one attack. Boom! Ziqian screamed and fell to the ground. Her body twisted, but she pulled out her dagger and pointed to Zhuo Lengxuan, who was 3 meters away. He wore a contemptuous smile as he walked towards her. He said, "I looked down on you before, when you could operate your genuine chi. Never mind now. Even though you're a warrior of division profound, you can't withstand a single blow from me. I advise you not to strike a stone with an egg." He gazed at her unbridled. There was no denying that Ziqian now looked very much like Chen Xie. Not only did she have the breathtaking beauty, but also the grandeur and elegant temperament. Once upon a time, Zhuo Lengxuan had fantasized about the present scene repeatedly. But he simply could not be rude to Chen Xie. He could only suppress the evil thoughts in his mind. Nevertheless, the woman before him was different. She was not noble like Chen Xie. Besides, there was not even a soul here. The evil thoughts he was suppressing in his mind inflated and finally burst out. Ziqian found that there was something wrong with Zhuo Lengxuan's expression. With desperation showing in her eyes, she wielded the dagger purposefully toward her neck without hesitation. She felt like she wanted to take her own life. At this moment, a blast of dark wind struck the dagger and sent it flying. "Who's there?" Zhuo Lengxuan was stunned. He looked in the direction the wind had come from. Zhang Yuochen came out from the darkness wearing a metal mask on his face. He didn't even look at Zhuo Lengxuan. Instead he stared at Ziqian. "I'm lucky I caught up to you. Are you hurt?" She shook her head. Seeing him, Ziqian finally sighed with relief. She felt she had someone to rely on and no longer needed to worry about Zhuo Lengxuan. However, Zhuo Lengxuan was nervous now. He gazed at the mysterious teenager who had appeared suddenly and asked, "Are you Chen Yuo?" "You could say that." Zhang Yuochen responded. Zhuo Lengxuan knew that Chen Yuo's cultivation was very strong. He didn't dare to provoke him. He said prudently and carefully, "Junior brother Chen, I believe that she is not junior sister Xie. Do not be fooled by her." Zhang Yuochen said, "Of course, I know that she's not Chen Xie." Zhuo Lengxuan narrowed his eyes and asked, "Then, who is she?" "Hades Department assassin, Ziqian." Zhang Yuochen said frankly, "Don't you know that the silkworm butterfly skill of the Hades Department can change a person's appearance?" Zhuo Lengxuan's face grew paler. He couldn't help clenching his fists and operating all the genuine chi in his body. He said, "If you know that she's the Hades Department's assassin, why are you still helping her? Are you one of the heretics from the Hades Department too?" Zhang Yuochen shook his head and said, "People like you will never understand the relationship between her and me. Ha ha. You just want to sleep with her because of her beauty. Why do you make it sound so lofty?" Zhuo Lengxuan snorted coldly. Zhang Yuochen said, "Whatever you think." Zhuo Lengxuan knew clearly that he was no match for Chen Yuo. He stepped 2 steps backwards and said, "Since she's the woman that junior brother Chen wants, I'm not going to interfere. I'll pretend that I haven't seen anything tonight. Now, excuse me. Please. Now that I've told you all this, you still want to leave?" Zhang Yuochen asked. Zhuo Lengxuan's eyes became cold. He responded, "Chen Yuo, could it be that you want to kill and silence me? You should know that even though your cultivation is a little bit stronger than mine, it's far from enough for you to kill me. I don't have anything against you. We don't need to have a life and death battle, do we?" Zhang Yuochen said, "Who says that I have no grievance or enmity towards you? Perhaps you've forgotten that you nearly made me lose all my martial cultivation in the school of the martial market. Can't this be regarded as deep hatred?" Zhuo Lengxuan frowned slightly and scanned his brain. The realization suddenly hit him and his countenance changed. He said, I get it. Your swish. Zhang Yuochen didn't give him the chance to speak. He moved his feet and transformed into a flowing light that pierced through Zhuo Lengxuan's body. Zhuo Lengxuan's right hand still pointed forwards, but his body was frozen. He stood still as streams of blood flowed out endlessly from a bloody hole in his forehead. Boom! His body fell to the ground heavily. Zhang Yuochen stood with his back to Ziqian. He stared into the darkness with sharp eyes and asked, "Brother Zi, since you're here, why don't you show yourself?" Shortly after, came a sneer from the dark. "You're worthy of being a secret disciple. I'm surprised you could find my breath." Ziyan Yang came out from the dark. He stood upright and wore a black robe with a black fighting sword at his side. Zhang Yuochen had already discovered Ziyan Yang's presence before killing Zhuo Lengxuan. This was why he didn't let Zhuo Lengxuan say his name out loud. If Ziyan Yang knew that Chen Yuo was actually Zhang Yuochen, they would be fighting each other now. Seeing Ziyan Yang, Ziqian's countenance became unnatural. She tried to avoid him. Since he had shown up, Ziqian would definitely not be in danger. Zhang Yuochen glanced at Ziyan Yang and walked out into the darkness. Ziyan Yang stared at the departing figure of Chen Yuo with killing intent in his eyes. But he wasn't sure if he could kill him, so he didn't take action. He could only let him go. Ziyan Yang watched Ziqian until Chen Yuo disappeared completely. He said coldly, "How dare you not salute when you see your brother? Do you think I'm going to take you to the law enforcement hall and hand you to the law enforcement presbyter for punishment?" Ziqian changed to her original appearance. She gazed at Ziyan Yang with cold eyes and said, "I know how to get to the law enforcement hall. You don't need to take me. I'll go right now." "Stop," Ziyan Yang said seriously. There was a chill to his voice. Ziqian stopped and said, "Ziyan Yang, what other advice do you have? Is this the way you talk to your brother?" Staring at her figure, Ziyan Yang no longer had the heart to be tough on her. Softening his voice, he said, "Do you think that I don't know you exposed your identity in order to save Zhang Yuochen? I failed to kill him because of you. So what?" Ziqian said. Ziyan Yang said, "Father sent you to the school of the martial market to conduct an important task. But you exposed yourself because of a man. If he knew it, he would definitely kill you." Ziqian laughed and said, "He has never seen me as his daughter and never gives me any resources to practice. The martial cultivation I possess now is all due to my own efforts." Ziyan Yang, I'm telling you, if I had as many resources to practice as you, I would be way stronger than you. Are you thinking of betraying the Hades department? Ziyan Yang asked. Ziqian was silent for a moment. Then she responded, "It's none of your business. I'll report to the law enforcement hall when I return to the Hades department." Ziyan Yang said, "You don't need to go to the law enforcement hall. I've shouldered all your duty for you. Father has a new task for you. If you can finish it, you can make amends for your fault with good deeds and you will still have the chance to practice in the Black Market First Class Hall." The Black Market First Class Hall. Ziqian was surprised. Ziyan Yang nodded his head. "Father has seen all your efforts in the school of the martial market. He hopes you can strive for top 10 of the profound board in the Black Realm. You should know that he loves you." Ziqian sneered and said, "He has so many daughters. If I hadn't shown my extraordinary practice talent in the school of the martial market, would he even notice me? I won't go back to the Hades department until I've reached the Heaven Realm. You can tell me my new task now." Ziyan Yang stared at Ziqian. Then he took a jade bottle out from his bosom and passed it to her. "This is a reward from Father, a drop of holy water. It can help you to improve your physical quality," he said. Ziqian took the holy water without a trace of politeness. Ziyan Yang opened his lips and told Ziqian her new task. Soon after, he turned away and disappeared like a ghost. The next day, warriors of the school of the martial market finally found Chen Xie imprisoned in the dungeon. After she was released, she immediately dispatched all the warriors in the Volley Manor, in an effort to recapture Ziqian. Unfortunately, their warriors didn't find Ziqian. Instead they found Zhuo Lengxuan's corpse. At noon, Zhang Yuochen and Duan Muxingling left the Volley Manor without anyone noticing. No one would suspect them. With the dungeon so tightly guarded, how did you save Ziqian? And how did you manage to imprison Chen Xie? Duan Muxingling asked with curiosity. Zhang Yuochen shook his head and said, I can't tell you. If you don't tell me, I'll go and tell Chen Xia, and ask her to capture you. Since she loves you so much, maybe she'll foster you as her gigolo and ask you to serve her every night. Perhaps that's too good for you. After all, she's one of the top 10 beauties in the Omen Ridge. Many men long to be her gigolo day and night. Duan Muxingling's bright eyes twinkled. Knowing that Duan Muxingling was joking, Zhang Yuochen didn't take it seriously. He said, "Senior Sister Duan Mu, we should bid farewell here. I'll leave for the Imperial Palace." Duan Muxingling pursed her lips up and squinted at Zhang Yuochen. Then she said, "You call me Senior Sister, yet you never invite me to your palace. I hate you, Zhang Yuochen." She left with her chin up. Zhang Yuochen looked at this lovely girl. A smile showed on his face again. He thought of the 3 blades of God habitat grass that she had sent him. "I have 25 days before the beginning of the ceremony of worship. I must succeed in practicing the body of the false god before then." The situation in the Imperial Palace was unpredictable, and the only way to protect himself was to enhance his strength constantly. Zhang Yuochen returned to the Imperial Palace instantly and entered the internal space of the time and space spine again to begin his practice.